This is Ireland. Most of the time here the weather is harsh, but this is what forms it. Calm winds never made a sailor, they say, and the same is true for a beautiful coastline. The truth is that Ireland and the Wild Atlantic Way was built by storms. To explore Ireland only in summer is to live only on your desert, but the main course is winter. If you live here and enjoy only your desert, you cannot expect to be sustained in the whole. You'll be running for the airport in no time, just to save your mind. Wind, waves, rain and storms shape everything that survives to thrive here, and plenty does. If winter forms this land, then make the time to meet its maker. Make the time for a winter road trip. This trip is a camping trip, just one man and his dog. I intend to try the idea of pier camping, and this is also going to be amongst the most challenging drone flying episodes so far. At the end, we will discuss the lessons that brought my drone home against the odds. I left home after dinner. The plan was to arrive late. Nothing to cook, just tuck up.
Continuous recording will now start. GPS connected.
We're going to take a 5-hour drive from Dublin to the Beara Peninsula. I've been looking around on Google Maps and I have a few places in mind. In summer, this would be harder to do. Piers are often centres of social and commercial activity, and it would often be presumptuous to do this at that time. In winter, though, I have these places to myself. The risks of storm surges and tide will still have to be managed. Given the weather, I chose to mitigate this threat by arriving at high tide. Then I would know that the rest of the day should at least be lower. I arrived at this small pier around 11 p.m. I'd never been here before. You would not get a vehicle much bigger than this down here. Not easily, at least.
You have arrived.
This pier was deliberately chosen for its shelter from the forecast winds, which were forecast as northwesterly. It is protected by a series of reefs which dissipate the swell, but to sleep here during low atmospheric pressure in a winter storm is not to be taken lightly. I arrived at high tide and was awake again for its return. Anything less would be foolhardy next to the Atlantic Ocean. Overnight it was squally. Thunderstorms rolled up Bantry Bay, with the lightning offering a brief prelude to the view that awaited us at dawn. And here it was, the classic trade-off, winter and solitude, or summer and multitudes. Northwesterly winds often bring a pattern of CBs or cumulonimbus showers, and they persisted for 2 days just as they have on my previous November trips, offering a chance between them to be outdoors followed by the inevitable retreat for shelter over and over. It has to be said that this weather would not draw you from your bed like a summer's morning, but then would I be here on a summer's morning, maybe asked to move on, maybe feeling in the way, maybe actually in the way? I love company and I love wilderness, but being able to enjoy the latter is often in conflict with the former. Crowds means rules, and rules sometimes do not feel like an escape in the same way that this does. I love waking up here. The foreboding threat of weather could feel like fear if you chose that. I chose to feel respect instead. In nature's power and indifference to us, I find respect. This re-humbling is a rebalancing. The impunity we feel on the couch by the fire is temporary and false. It is healthy to be reminded of our actual place and the value of the shelter of society and all that it brings us. Breakfast for 2 and my daily brew began the day. It was so nice to start the day right here, so close to all this beauty which is normally so far. Rested and with the day ahead, time for a road trip, and it felt good. This is the Healy Pass, one of the most remarkable driving roads in Ireland. It takes you from the south side of the Beara Peninsula to the north side. Again, in summer this is busy. Today I was alone with the march of those stormy showers painting shadows as they tore across the sunlit winter landscape. Waterfalls tearing through the land and low winter sun cutting across these colours, leaving the 40 shades of green found in summer seeming almost dull and unimaginative compared. Here it comes again, howling through the pass in sheets of rain. Time to retreat. I am here on another's terms. Down in the valley before me is Doreen Gardens, one of the lushest, most diverse and most beautiful places to visit on the Beara Peninsula. But here at the gate she keeps her secrets. We're better for a brew. This too will pass. The road takes me south again, across the mountains via the old mining roads towards the old mining town of Alahis. As we crest a hill, watch the ocean. huge Atlantic rollers breaking upon the beach, miles away, and still huge. Watch the waves crash upon the rocky shore. There they are again, like masons at work pounding into the rocks on the shore across the bay. It was time to search for a camp for our second night, and the first port of call was too exposed.
Yeah, find somewhere else. No good, is it?
We retreated east for a more sheltered shore, home for the night.
Been doing?
After playing the game by nature's terms for so long, it seemed as if she would return the favour. After a windy but clear night watching the stars swing about the North Star, all became quiet at dawn. We awoke to a morning that I will rate as one of the finest of the whole year. Here we were, mud and puddles, cold and rain, but with a hot brew in hand. It was paradise still. The clock is always most insolent when you can least tolerate its intrusion. It was hard to leave, but only because it was good to be here. This little trip was such a gift, and the cost? Just the decision and the diesel to get up and go. That's all it took. The drone I used is a Mavic 2 zoom. In this shot, the drone comes to a halt. Up upon the hill, you see the coming squall. I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategies that are worth remembering if you're going to fly in these conditions. When I flew the drone out to this island, I was flying across the wind. However, the wind at elevation in the northern hemisphere comes further from the right than occurs at the surface. Those of you that can read the water will agree here that the surface wind is from the left, yet here at altitude the wind is blowing my drone out towards the sea. So the solution was simple: descend. Once I began to descend, I began to be able to fly my drone home. You can see the Land Rover up ahead on the pier. I know it's an inanimate object, but I could not but smile for my little but intrepid machine upon its return. Lower winds almost always occur at lower altitude, even though, as you can imagine, they may accelerate around the topography. But as a rule of thumb, if your drone is being blown away, descend. My strategy in general, therefore, was to fly the drone upwind of the road where I could return to with the Land Rover. Going up the Healy Pass, my drone was blown away no less than 3 times. On the first occasion, I had to drive back down the valley and get ahead of it to beat it on its way downwind. Here you can see the wind speed in the shadows. Here at altitude, she is simply blown away. Before it is taken from my range, I must take control and land. However, once I get down low, it is again able to fly back up the valley. At this point, the drone is again unable to avoid being blown away, and the wind accelerating over the ridge ahead of you here is simply too strong. However, I could still solve the issue by sidestepping the acceleration zone and then low flying back up the valley. Imagine and understand the wind before you fly, and your intrepid little machine, who cannot do this part, will do the rest, and most likely return to fly another day. Enjoy.